Joining me live in the studio is the Shadow Foreign Minister, Simon Birmingham. Thanks for your time. How will Joe Biden and his legacy be remembered?
Kieran, I think Joe Biden has been a significant president in US history. He's been a very, very crucial one for Australia and for our historic alliance with the United States. Joe Biden was the president who was there when we initiated the AUKUS discussions, agreed upon it, and all of that achieved under Prime Minister Morrison. And then, of course, the subsequent details in terms of the submarine delivery under Pillar 1 and the development out of Pillar 2 under the current government here in Australia. And so he's been a great friend to Australia, but he also has been a significant leader internationally in response to international crises, including Russia's invasion of Ukraine, in response to the war in Gaza, and the continued response that started very much under President Trump to the rise of China and the challenges that places across the Indo-Pacific. And Joe Biden leaves internationally a very strong legacy and, of course, as many US leaders are noting, a very strong legislative achievements in the United States as well. And it takes a lot of courage to step away from power and position. And although there's been pressure in recent weeks, he still deserves credit for the courage he has shown to step away from the candidacy and to now make clear that January will be the end of his presidency and denote a new presidency, which will be a very historic moment regardless of who takes that office.
An historic moment today, really. It's been many decades since we've seen a sitting president, vacate the race, and then it's a week on from the attempted assassination. It's been an extraordinary time in the United States. As an observer, as someone we have a stake in it, don't we? As Australians and you as a potential foreign minister.
We have a very big stake in the relationship, our closest, most important alliance partner. And of course, yes, we're looking at historic times. You can't help when you talk about a 1960s precedent for a president who has their party endorsement stepping aside. Of course, the images of the assassination attempt also bringing back many memories of the 1960s. And also the challenges of that era in terms of division. Many people ask questions about the strength of US democracy at present. We need to remember that the US and its systems have been challenged significantly before by division, by assassination attempts, by leadership changes and turmoil, and that has come out strongly on the other side.
But this was a close shave, wasn't it? It was such a half an inch away from calamity. We've said it before in the last few days, but you shudder at the thought, don't you, as to what would have happened?
Well, you do. But although neither of us lived through it, we saw in terms of JFK, in terms of RFK, tragic and successful assassinations. And as I say, at those times of immense social turmoil and division and creating that political instability that the US came out stronger, went on to win the Cold War, went on to shape very much the modern world in which we're living, and particularly with the strength of their economy and with their technological advantage. And this is where we need to continue to back the importance of a strong United States, one that in the future is able to continue in delivering world-leading positions that are crucial for fellow liberal democracies and market economies like ours. These are the values that we share. And regardless of who replaces Joe Biden in the Oval Office, and we can be very grateful for how he has worked with us on the alliance under different Australian governments, but now we will look to a new administration next January, and we need to make sure that alliance remains strong and that US leadership in the world remains strong as well.
Do you believe that, and as you touched on the pressure that was mounting on the president to vacate the field, to step away from this race, do you think we are seeing now what's going to be a more competitive election in November, regardless of whether Kamala Harris, who looks like the favourite at the moment to be the Democratic nominee or not, do you think it'll be more competitive?
I think it certainly is a competition between now and November, and none of us should seek to prejudge the outcome. We should all invest in terms of our commentary, and particularly for the government in terms of their efforts, and that especially goes to Ambassador Kevin Rudd, on building the relationships with both teams, obviously former President Trump's campaign and his team, and we saw Ambassador Rudd there at the Republican convention last week, but also the Democratic nominee, be it Kamala Harris or otherwise, and having the strongest possible relations such that post-November, when a new president is known and an administration is beginning to be formed ahead of taking office in January, we need to be at the front of establishing the closest possible relations, as we have successfully done in the past, done with President Biden, did with President Trump in his first term, and must continue to do in the future.
Just finally, what would a President Kamala Harris mean for Australia?
Well, President Kamala Harris, if that were to be, obviously denotes some continuity from the Biden administration, but she will clearly have her own priorities as well. In the role of Vice President, Australian officials have had the opportunity to get to know her and to build existing relations, and we will look to her or whoever holds the Oval Office to be deeply engaged in the Indo-Pacific, to provide leadership and engagement in our region as well as across the democratic world, and crucially to deliver upon the commitments under AUKUS that are important to our bilateral relationship, and also to continue to build our economic ties. We should never lose sight that the US is also Australia's biggest investment partner and is crucial in terms of much of our economic and trading relations as well.
Shadow Foreign Minister Simon Birmingham, appreciate your time and response on a historic day, a big day.
It certainly is.
Talk to you soon.